take a moment to focus on your own inner voice and the profound subjective feeling of being awake right now. Mainstream science views the human brain as a biological computer. In this model, consciousness emerges from computation, the natural result of enough complex data processing. But this leads to a paradox known as the hard problem of consciousness. We know how the brain processes information, but we cannot explain why electrical activity in biological tissue possesses an inner life. Why aren't you just a robot that operates without any subjective experience at all? Under this consensus, your entire sense of being an isolated individual is a temporary byproduct of biological data processing. Waking awareness relies on neurons across the brain firing in perfect synchrony, a state called self-organized criticality, where the system balances on the edge of order and chaos. But anesthesia reveals a critical flaw in the computer theory. When a patient goes under, their neurons do not stop firing, yet the synchronized harmony of the brain collapses and consciousness vanishes instantly. Classical physics has no mechanism to explain how 100 billion cells coordinate with such precision, or what exactly these chemicals are disconnecting. Science may be unable to find the source of consciousness inside the brain because it was never generated there. Quantum electrodynamics shows that empty space is actually a roaring sea of invisible energy. This is the zero-point field, an energy that remains even when a system is cooled to absolute zero. In 2025, physicist Joachim Kepler published evidence for a new framework. The brain acts as an antenna. It doesn't manufacture awareness, it tunes into the zero-point field. The brain's primary neurotransmitter, glutamate, vibrates at a frequency of 7.8 terahertz. Inside the brain, this vibration perfectly matches specific waves of the zero-point field, creating a resonant physical link. Kepler's model suggests that when the brain resonates with the field, it accesses a foundational state of consciousness that exists throughout the vacuum. The brain then shapes this raw awareness into the specific, personal experience you call your life. We can test this antenna framework by re-examining what happens in the operating room. Anesthetic molecules physically bind to proteins called tubulin inside our neurons. This binding shifts the frequency of the surrounding electron clouds. By shifting those frequencies, the chemicals interrupt the resonance, effectively rupturing the link between the brain and the zero-point field. This builds on Sir Roger Penrose's OR theory, which first proposed that consciousness arises from quantum vibrations inside these neuronal structures. The anesthetic chemicals effectively unplug the biological antenna, letting the universal field hum along while the individual goes silent. Modern physics is now modeling an architecture of reality described by ancient philosophers 2,000 years ago. The Buddhist concept of sunyata, or emptiness, describes a reality where nothing exists independently because everything is interconnected. The zero-point field mirrors this. It is an invisible fullness that permeates everything. The quantum antenna model also aligns with the Buddhist tenet of anatta, which states there is no permanent, independent soul sitting inside the head. In this view, your sense of being an isolated individual is a temporary biological illusion created by local hardware filtering a universal field. If every brain is connected to the same field, it raises the possibility of intersubjective coupling, where individuals tune into one another. Meditation and deep empathy act as a systematic quieting of local biological static. By silencing this internal noise, the mind can fall into a coherence pattern with others through the shared field. This connection functions less like a data transfer and more like two tuning forks harmonizing, allowing two minds to share the same emotional frequency through the field. We are not disconnected biological machines. We are the cosmos waking up to look at itself through a biological lens. Every living brain is a different instrument playing the same cosmic song. And when the instrument finally breaks,